And we're also right now going to talk about Newcastle. Eddie Howe up at Newcastle, was he deserving of this new extended contract, Graeme? Newcastle, you once managed there, we'll get to that in a moment, but what about Eddie?
No, I don't think so. A year in, he's done a great job so far. You know, he came in to a team that, for the public, they weren't playing the kind of football they wanted to watch. He changed that. He changed the results, and so far, you know, he's done a great job. As I've said already, the pressure comes when you start spending money as a manager. They want to be one of the big clubs out there. They think with their new owners, they can achieve that, but that has to be a slow burn because of the financial fair play rules will come into play, whether they bend them or break them, and then they take them to court, as another club in our league do, and said, if you remember the quote,
of course I do.
We'll have them for 40 years through the courts. That's not. That's not what Premier League want to hear, but or UEFA want to hear.
So you think the board's been a bit previous in giving Eddie?
Yeah, I think so. I think what it suggests is that it's new people running a football club. And I mean, I'm asking you as a
Yeah, I agree. I don't think there was a necessity for it. He didn't have an 18-month contract. He had a 2.5-year contract. He came in the door, spent £93 million in January, and did a good job. I was doubting of it. I thought he bottled the job at Celtic, and I was curious about his outlook and disposition, but I was wrong, because I think he's gone up there and done a decent job, galvanised the base. It was galvanisable. They'd had 14 years of Mike Ashley. They hated everything to do with Mike Ashley. Anyone coming through the door that gave them a shard of light and hope, they were going to get behind. Done a good job. I'm not entirely sure what the purpose of it is. You know, he's got 2 years left on his contract. Well, stability, yes, you've got him for 2 years. Eddie Howe has an opportunity to build a side. He's got 2 years left on his contract. There was no necessity for it, so I'm not entirely sure what the purpose of it is, because
it's a show of faith
in a year's
as well,
time.
Simon.
Well,
I mean, they were looking doomed when he came in.
Well, yes, I know but he's got 2 years left, Jim. He's not an 18-month contract with Conte and a clock running down. Everyone going, is he going to be leaving? He had 2 years left, and there's more for Eddie Howe to prove, quite frankly, about how he's going to be able to spend this money. It's one thing managing Bournemouth. It's another thing going into Newcastle with this abundance of so-called riches, with an ownership model that I don't particularly like and don't agree with. But I don't think financial fair play is going to be a problem for them, because one thing Mike Ashley did was run a tight ship. So they're not in losses. And even whatever losses they're in, they're allowable losses that they can adjust for. So they can probably spend 500 million, Gray, and get away with it. It's a familiar
tone that people who run the football clubs as a business become unpopular. Talking about the players.
Eddie Howe dismissed that pre-match, actually. I think we've got it. Is this what Eddie said pre-match about spending? Have a listen.
Well, hopefully it tells you that what I was trying to tell you at the back end of last season was the truth. And that's what I'd always try and give you to the best of my ability. Financial fair play will impact us, will continue to impact us, I think, for a number of years. We haven't got the free rein, the free hand that maybe has been perceived in the media, that we can go and sign whoever we want and pay extortionate fees and wages. We're not in that position, and I don't think we will be for some period of time. So we're having to be creative and smart and try and make the right additions with the financial constraints that we have.
So Simon, that's pushback from Eddie. We can't spend what we want when we want.
But that's nonsense. Because they were trying to buy James Maddison for 40-50 million quid last week, weren't they? They've spent £45 million in this transfer window. If they buy Maddison, that's 95 million.
He's
plus
a good
the 90.
player, by the way.
Good, very good player. That's 95 for this
Not
window.
bottom yet, though.
Well, yeah, but they're trying to buy him. And the argument that financial fair play will cut them deep, they've got 3 years of ability to be able to meet the obligations of 105 million worth of losses. They've also got a regime which, whether they like it or they didn't, was run in an economical fashion which didn't post huge losses. So Newcastle were in a situation where they could probably spend £500 million on players over the next 2 or 3 years and not contravene financial fair play. Unless, of course, they get relegated. But they wouldn't, would they? Because they'd have a side that was capable of competing in the division.
So, Graeme, you don't think Eddie is deserving of this new deal? And you've given me...
He's not undeserving of it.
He's not undeserving of it. But you think the
fair.
timing's a bit out?
Well, it's just it tells me that there's new people are making football decisions.
But undeniably, what he's got is a decent connection with the Newcastle fans. You know these fans, and you ended up with a disconnect.
Oh, yes, it's a difficult job. I never had a job. I've never had a job. I had 8 jobs, some very big football clubs, where I felt where people were not rowing in the same direction. I didn't feel any togetherness up there from day one. No, maybe that was the owner.
From day one?
From day one. Maybe that was the owner.
Were you up there with Mike?
No.
Freddie?
Yeah.
Right.
And
it was Freddie Shepherd. I was there with you.
Yeah, I didn't enjoy.
But why was there a disconnect? Do you think from day one? What with Freddie?
I'm saying not the minute I walk into the place, but I was a feeling around the place. I think there's an expectation from the supporters. Quite rightly so. There's got to be an expectation. That's only fit and proper.
You say that there's outrage.
Was it realistic expectation?
You say that and they'll be outraged.
Yeah. Was it realistic?
No,
the expectation?
No, because it had to be a case you were going to build it. If you look at the managers that had that job prior to me, some proper managers.
Kenny?
The last time they won a trophy was 1968. I think it was 67, 68. That's 50 years ago. They have issues up there, or they've had issues up there.
But was it not the fact you didn't get results? I mean, I was there on the day you signed Michael Owen. You stood shoulder to shoulder with Freddie Shepherd that day. You and I were on stage.
Well, what do you want me to do? He's the chairman. He has chosen Michael Owen. What do you want me to do?
You didn't have a say in the Michael Owen signing?
No, the story of Michael Owen. I mean, who wouldn't want Michael Owen? He's at Real Madrid. He's a bit player at Real Madrid. I wanted. Who was the boy that was at Bolton and Arsenal? Anelka. He was at Fenerbahce at the time, and I'd met his representatives. And he was all for coming, and he wasn't acceptable to Freddie Shepherd. He didn't want him.
So you wanted him, but the board wouldn't go to it.
Yeah, and then and that wasn't the only time it happened there. I found that job. Well, the fact that I never worked again, Jim, tells you how much that job put me off being a manager.
Was that the defining moment?
100%, yeah. I didn't want to be answerable to the people. Listen, I'm a big boy. I've had lots of criticism. In fact, I used to enjoy it when I was a player. If people weren't booing me, I felt I wasn't doing my job properly. And that wasn't at Anfield, that was away from home. But I am up there. I found it very, very difficult. Very, very difficult to feel you were part of it. They had chopped and changed the managers, and I think that.
Did you feel an outsider?
No, I never felt an outsider. I said I can take as much stick as I want to give me. That's not a problem. It wasn't a job I enjoyed, and I just felt after that job I don't want to be answerable to the kind of people that are running football clubs and the kind of people that are making football decisions.
What do you?
I didn't want to be answerable to someone that would I want to have a cup of tea with this guy?
What do you think the direction of travel for Newcastle is now? You've got a situation where they've got this galvanised spirit now, this absolute outpouring of relief that Ashley's gone. So he's got that bump. You've got people in there that are giving him pretty much what he wants. Right? They've now given him a contract for another 4 years. What do you think the direction of travel for Newcastle is? Well,
what I'd say, I mean, I'm never happy talking about. I'm with you. I'm not comfortable with the owners of that. People who put money in to buy that football club. I don't believe that it's the right thing for the Premier League, or the right thing for any league.
Yeah,
but that said, they're there.
They're there. What you then I would say that Saudi Arabia don't play second fiddle to anyone. They're the big guys in the Middle East. They're used to being the top dogs at whatever they do, and if Eddie can get it going to a point where they're showing signs of getting up there and challenging, financial fair play argument will go out the window. They'll just take it on the chin and take the consequences. Yeah. They will do that. And they'll spend a lot of money in doing that. So if you're a Newcastle supporter, you can be if you forget who the owners are, if you can park that and you forget who they are and what they're guilty of, then upwards and onwards for them. But I am uncomfortable talking about it.
Can you see any case? You shouldn't be. You see any case of Newcastle getting in the top 6 this season?
No. No.
Damn it, Graeme, I was hoping you would
gone.
do. He and I have got a wager on.
No. How do you? I mean,
well, he wanted to bet me £1,000.
We've not even mentioned Arsenal. Arsenal looking.
I'm
not talking about a game.
We'll come to that.
90 minutes.
We'll come to that.
But they've made good signings. I think they'll be better this year. And then we spoke about Spurs. Man United have to be better than what they showed at the weekend.
Let me finish with this one. Do you think Eddie Howe has made the best connection with the supporters there since Sir Bobby?
Yeah, I think there's an argument for that. But I think there are reasons for that. The one that Simon alluded to, where you've got the club was at a low. They were angry with the owner. They were angry with the brand of football they were watching. So a young man comes along who's easy on the eye. He speaks well in front of the camera, and he's got them playing a brand of football that's entertaining, a brand of football that's winning games. So that, along with the Mike Ashley ownership, timing was perfect.
We'll see what they're made of this weekend, Graeme, because Brighton against Newcastle, 3 o'clock on Saturday, is live and exclusive on talkSPORT 2.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.